Hey folks, Ray from DCRemaker.com. I'm going to do a walkthrough of the menu system on the Fenix 5X. Now this is very similar to the existing Fenix 5 and Fenix 5S series, or the other series there that have both been announced here at CES. The only difference is that you're going to see the mapping and the navigation menus here on this that are more advanced, and on those watches because this stuff does have mapping. So this is purely a video on the menus. If you want kind of the overview of the Fenix 5 series, you can go ahead and hit that video up there. But everything else here in this video is just 100% on the menus and showing you all the features there. So starting off here with the watch face, I can go and hit this right hand top button to get into the sport mode, so you can see run, treadmill, etc. You can of course add and customize these as you see fit. If I were to go ahead and open one of these up, it's going to go off and find GPS there in a second. You can see there we go, it's the orange. In a second I'll get green, meaning that's good to go. It'll also start that optical heart rate sensor on the back there for sport, and you can see now it's ready to go. Within the menus, I can go ahead and press the up and down button to change. You can see there's kind of that location field, which I'll get to a little bit later on. There we go. And now you can see the location there as I am right now here on the UNLV campus. I'm going to go ahead and go back, then we'll come back to that in a moment, and I want to show you the settings. This is where all the kind of the new stuff, the magic is. First, we're going to start off on this top right-hand button right there. So I'm going to press this here to get into the kind of quick access menu, and you can see as I do that, I can iterate through the different options by pressing this bottom left-hand button. So I can see, for example, sync, Bluetooth, stopwatch, timer. You can customize these with different Garmin Connect apps if you want to. So this is all just a really quick way to get to the different widgets, as opposed to in the past, you just kind of keep on scrolling up and down through the menus. So like this, and it took a long time. So this goes ahead and allows you to quickly access those without anything special. Next, if I hold the middle button down there, I get into the settings. So the watch face here, you can customize at a very high level by doing this, but we can actually go down deeper and customize each one of those data fields itself. So if I go ahead down and do that, so settings, watch face, I can then press enter, and then I customize, and you can see I can change, for example, the dial, the hands, the data displayed on it. So I can go ahead and, as I'm iterating through this right there, on the left-hand side, you'll see all the different options as I go down to the slider, and the top there, you'll see I'm changing them there. Pretty darn cool, a lot more customization than you had in the past. You can change the accent color, the background color, and so on. So it's definitely neat stuff, and an improvement over the past as well. Back into the settings here, this is just the alarm clock, timer, stopwatch, alerts. Sync with GPS goes ahead and tells it to basically take the time from GPS. Into the history, just as it was before in the past, so you can sample see records. I don't know if this watch has had any running on it. Yeah, a little bit of running. So you can see the 1 mile record, actually some decent running in fact, up to 4 miles anyways. Down into cycling, for example, rides in there, most ascent, etc. All stuff that we've seen in the past as well. And then the totals and so on. Going down into the full settings here, kind of additional settings, we've got activities and apps. So I can customize each one of these activities and apps. For example, my running settings for data screens, alerts, metronome, whether or not the map is displayed, all that's in there. Going back out again into widgets, sort of the same thing here. Here's the widgets I have enabled right now, or I can enable if I want to, or add widgets. Into the watch face, as we saw just a moment ago, I showed you earlier on. Sensors and accessories, this is where it gets kind of interesting here. So we can add new sensors, and here is where I can add both an ANT Plus as well as a Bluetooth smart heart rate strap, something I could not do in the past. Then I've got my speed and cadence sensor, power sensor, foot pod, Verb action cameras, Tempi, which is a temperature sensor, Shimano Di2, shifting, this is an additional sensor type here. This is both for ANT Plus, basically shifting, so things like SRAM Red, as well as Campino EPS are added here. ANT Plus lights are there, Garmin Varia radar, and muscle oxygenation sensors there, so things like Moxie and BXS. Down here below, I have access to my compass, for example, so you can see that right there. I've got the altimeter settings here, and barometer settings there. So basically that stuff is pretty much it as it was in the past. Into the map settings, I can change my orientation to be track up. I can show my user locations, I can change auto zoom, I can lock onto the road I'm on, I can show my track log, change my track color, and then change the detail level, for example, high, medium, low, which in turn impacts processing, basically how quickly it'll show up. Bluetooth here, this is for connecting to your smartphones, so smart notifications, alerts, and the mobile device pairing there. And then Wi-Fi. Keep in mind, Wi-Fi is only offered on the Sapphire editions. So, for example, the Sapphire 5S, 5 regular, as well as the 5X, both editions have it there. The physiological metrics, so I can go in here and look at auto detection of different functions. For example, max heart rate, lactate threshold, FTP, which is new on the Fenix 5. And then in performance notifications as well, basically a pop-up notifications each time you hit a new maximum on each of these different areas. For example, up here for new VATO max and so on. Here's user profile as it was pretty much in the past, so things like gender and so on. And then we have activity tracking here for turning on move alerts and goals and whatnot. That's pretty much all the same. You do see Move IQ in there though now, which is new here. In the past that wasn't offered in all the wearables except kind of all the lower end ones. That's now here as well. And then the navigation. This is where I can change my data screens for navigation, for map, the guide, the elevation plot, as well as just the straight screens out of there. I can turn on the heading bug, which basically shows me where the heading that I'm aiming for, and then also alerts for final distance and estimated time. Next and last in the system, language, time, backlight, sound, all these are pretty much the same as before. Do not disturb in the controls menu. So here is where I can go and show those menus that are on that kind of controls circle there we saw at the very beginning, as well as I can customize hotkeys in here doing different hold menus there. Auto lock units, units is for changing things like distance, pace, etc. into metric or statute, and then so on. So those are kind of the basics there. Let's go ahead now into an activity and show you navigation itself. So I'm going to go ahead and start here, and I'm going to go into run like we did before, and then it's going to find GPS. I'm going to do that real quick, and then we're going to navigate somewhere. So as soon as it finds that, in a couple more seconds, there we go. I'm going to hold down the menu button here to go into navigation. And now I can see points of interest around me. I can look at, for example, I can find food and drink. We'll see what's nearby here. We'll give it a couple seconds to try to find something of interest. Okay, so there we go. It took me about 30-40 seconds to complete in this time. I guess if you're really hungry, that's probably not that big of a deal. We can go to the Mojo Slice, the Cedars Restaurant, Brothers Pizza, Long John Silver's, and that's definitely where we're going to go. If I go and press that, I can then go to it, or I can see it on a map, so I can click the map button there, give it a couple seconds, and you can see there's that icon right there for Long John Silver's. And then I can go ahead and zoom in and out using these buttons on the left-hand side right there. Pretty straightforward. Very similar to what you saw in the Edge series in the past. I'm going back now. Here's back to start, like you'd expect from other units to just route back to start. Courses and round trip course. This is what's really cool. This allows me to go ahead and basically generate a on-the-fly route of some place that I want to run because I don't really know where I'm running. I just want to route a certain number of distances, or a certain number of miles or kilometers, sorry. So I'm going to go ahead and press up there and go to 5 miles. You can change that to kilometers, of course, if you're in kilometers. And I'm going to go any direction, but I can also choose north, east, south, or west. This is handy if you don't want to run in a given direction for some reason, for example, towards the city when you want to go towards the mountains or vice versa. I'm going to go choose any direction, and it's going to start creating 3 different courses. Now, just like in the Edge series in the past, this does take a few seconds to complete for each course, and so it's going to generate the first course for you. You can look at it, and then you go to the second course, it'll generate the second course. So it's not doing all 3 courses at once, but rather does them one after another. So here you can see the first course right there. It's overlaid to the map with that pink line there. It's going to start populating the map data behind me. You can see, for example, that's 5.6 miles, 115 feet of elevation gain. I can press the accept button, the up here button up here. I can start that, so I can look at the map again. I can get my turn-by-turn navigation. So if I hit this right there, you can see west on Service Road, another Service Road, finally then onto Cottage Grove Avenue, Maryland Parkway, and so on. These are all legit turn-by-turn directions, so it's not just left, right. It's actually telling you where to go. I can look at the elevation plot for that. Again, it's fairly flat here, but you can see obviously it's showing some elevation gain there, which is kind of nice. Okay, so now that course 1 is up, we can go ahead down to course 2 right there. It's going to create course 2, and it'll simply iterate through this each time for each course that we want to create. And you can see course 2 there, and I can keep on going down to course 3 and so on. So that's just a quick look at that. Let's head on back here into activities. This just simply shows me my existing activities. Save locations, the exact save locations that I have in the past. So you can see they're all kind of far away in Kansas there. Site and go and coordinates. And then here, these are again within the settings for the activity itself. So right now I'm looking at the current app, watch face, and so on. Okay, so that's just a look at the Fenix 5 menu system. That's pretty much all the buttons there is to click on there. Some things obviously won't show up unless you're in the middle of an activity, for example, Strava segments. There are no Strava segments on this particular watch right now, so that I can't show you there. But pretty much everything else you saw here in the menus. If you found this useful, go ahead and hit that like button down below. And don't forget to whack the subscribe button as well. That way you stay tuned for all the latest sports technology goodness and gadgets. There's plenty more to come here at CES, and of course into the new year as we got lots of good stuff coming up over the spring. Have a good one.